It all started on what should have been one of the best days of my life, my housewarming party. I had just moved into a quiet neighborhood, excited to finally settle down and celebrate this new chapter. We kept things pretty simple: good food, close friends, and some music. Nothing crazy. But little did I know, someone was watching. A few houses down lived the infamous HOA Karen. You know the type, always peeking through her blinds, always ready to file a complaint over a blade of grass out of place. It wasn't even an hour into the party when I noticed her pacing in her driveway, phone glued to her ear. I figured she was just being her usual self, but I didn't realize she had actually called the county sheriff to report us for suspicious activity. Here's the thing, though. What she didn't know was who exactly was at my party. You see, before moving in, I had worked in law enforcement for years, and a lot of my old buddies showed up to celebrate, all 50 of them. Yep, 50 off-duty county deputies, standing around eating barbecue and swapping stories. So when the squad cars rolled up, what happened next? Well, let's just say Karen's plan didn't exactly go the way she thought it would. And trust me, you're going to want to hear how this all unfolded. Now, to really understand how wild this got, you need a little more background. When I moved into the neighborhood, I kept a pretty low profile. I didn't put up a bunch of decorations or make a big fuss. I figured, blend in, be friendly, and everything would be fine. But Karen, she had other ideas. From the moment she saw the moving trucks, she was looking for reasons to pick a fight. First, it was about where the delivery guy parked. Then it was about how long my porch light stayed on. Always little things, but enough to make it clear she had her eye on me. And to be fair, I had heard the rumors. Apparently, Karen had a long history with the HOA, always sending out warning letters, filing noise complaints, even snapping photos of people's yards. It was like a full-time hobby for her. So when she saw a crowd gathering at my house, her instincts kicked in immediately. She didn't see neighbors catching up or old friends laughing. She saw a problem she needed to fix. Meanwhile, inside, we were just getting started. The grill was fired up, music was playing at a decent level, and everyone was having a great time. None of us had any idea that just down the street, Karen's call was about to set a much bigger scene in motion. It didn't take long before we noticed something was up. One of my buddies, who was standing near the driveway, gave me a heads up that a couple of patrol cars were slowly cruising past the house. At first, we all laughed it off. After all, half the people at the party were off-duty deputies themselves. Some were still in their official jackets from earlier shifts, badges hanging from their belts. It was pretty clear this wasn't some wild house party. It looked more like a reunion for the sheriff's department. But Karen didn't stop at one phone call. Oh no. Word later got around that she called the non-emergency line 3 different times, insisting there was suspicious behavior happening, possible illegal activity, and even hinted at unauthorized gatherings. Meanwhile, her porch light kept flashing on and off like some kind of bat signal, and you could practically see her pacing a trench into her front lawn. Some neighbors started peeking through their windows too, curious about the line of patrol cars slowly stacking up on the street. Inside, the vibe shifted just a little. Some folks were joking about it, but you could tell there was a tension creeping in. Nobody wanted trouble, especially not here, at what was supposed to be a celebration. What we didn't know yet was that Karen had one more move up her sleeve, and it was about to take everything to a whole new level. About 20 minutes after the last patrol car circled by, the real show started. A full sheriff's SUV pulled right into my driveway, lights flashing, but no sirens. Everyone at the party kind of froze for a second, glancing at each other, unsure if this was serious or just someone stopping by to say hello. I could feel my heart racing a little. Even with so many deputies there, no one likes seeing those lights in front of their house, especially when you know a nosy neighbor is behind it. I stepped out toward the driveway, just as 2 uniformed deputies got out. I recognized one of them right away, Officer Lane, a buddy I hadn't seen since academy days. But he stayed in full serious mode, professional, like he didn't even know me. He glanced around the yard, taking in the scene. Barbecue smoke curling in the air, kids tossing a football on the lawn, music low enough you could barely hear it from the street. It looked like the most harmless housewarming ever. Meanwhile, across the street, Karen had come outside, arms folded tight across her chest, a smug little smirk creeping up her face. You could just tell she thought she had finally caught me red-handed. She kept looking back and forth between the deputies and my house like she was waiting for them to start writing tickets or hauling people away. What she didn't realize was that she had just stepped into a situation way bigger than she expected, and the next few minutes were about to turn her entire plan upside down. Just as Officer Lane started walking toward me, another squad car pulled up, and this time it wasn't someone I knew. A deputy I had never met before stepped out, looking way more serious. He had that clipboard in hand, the kind they use when they're ready to start writing citations or even file reports. You could almost feel the mood shift heavier. Even a few of my guests started gathering closer, sensing something was about to go down. Karen, from across the street, was practically bouncing on her toes now, whispering something to another neighbor who had wandered outside to watch. Lane gave me a small nod but stayed professional. Before I could say much, the new deputy, Deputy Harden, asked to speak with the property owner. I stepped forward and introduced myself, trying to keep it casual, but my mind was racing. He asked a few stiff questions. What was the purpose of the gathering? Were we serving alcohol? Did I have a permit for a large event? It was clear Karen had exaggerated everything in her complaint, painting the picture of some wild, out-of-control party that needed to be shut down. Before I could even answer, one of my off-duty buddies, a sergeant, walked over and casually flashed his badge. Then another did the same. Then a third. In seconds, a half-circle of badges surrounded me, and Deputy Harden paused, clearly caught off guard. The tension between him, the off-duty deputies, and Karen across the street practically sparked in the air. And just when it seemed like things might calm down, someone pulled out their phone, and that's when it all took an even crazier turn. As Deputy Harden looked around at the sea of badges and realized half the people in my yard were off-duty deputies, you could almost see the panic flicker across his face. Lane leaned over and whispered something to him, probably explaining the situation. Harden's whole posture shifted. The clipboard got tucked under his arm real quick, and he cleared his throat, trying to regain some authority. He apologized for the confusion and said they had just been responding to multiple reports from a concerned resident. Everyone glanced over at Karen, who had now stopped smiling and was frozen stiff in her driveway. Then came the twist none of us saw coming. The sergeant who had shown his badge first. Turns out, he actually outranked Deputy Harden by quite a bit, and he wasn't too happy about how the situation had been handled. In front of everyone, he calmly informed Harden that the concerned resident might be guilty of filing a false report and wasting county resources. Lane couldn't even hide his smirk at that point. Harden looked like he wanted to melt into the sidewalk. Meanwhile, a few of the guests started recording, not to cause trouble, but just to document what had turned into a full-blown HOA drama meltdown. Karen must have realized it too, because the second the sergeant mentioned false report, she bolted back inside her house, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. But trust me, the fallout from that night was only just beginning. After Karen slammed her door, things at the party slowly eased back into a relaxed vibe. Deputy Harden apologized again before leaving, clearly wanting to get out of there as fast as possible. Officer Lane hung around for a bit, catching up with a few of the guys and even grabbing a plate of barbecue. It ended up being one of those moments where everyone bonded a little closer, laughing at how wild the night had gotten over what was supposed to be just a simple housewarming. The next morning, word had already spread around the neighborhood. Some neighbors even came by to apologize for not stepping in or to quietly share their own run-ins with Karen and the HOA. Turns out, I wasn't the first person she had targeted, just the first one whose friends wore badges. As for Karen, she stayed pretty quiet after that. No more pacing the driveway, no more petty complaints, at least for a while. Looking back, it was a crazy way to start life in a new neighborhood, but it taught me something important. Sometimes, standing your ground respectfully is the best way to deal with a difficult situation. And if you're lucky, a little backup from good friends doesn't hurt either.